All those in favor of adopting the agenda, raise your hand or say aye. Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comment. However, it was discussed at a previous meeting that we would not be conducting public comment at this work session and the following work session on April 18th. So the next item on the agenda is the work session, and two things before we go into that. I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules. First of all, we can do that, and then I just want to make a little opening comment and let the other board members make a short opening comment if they so desire, and then we'll turn the floor over to the GIS department and we'll go from there. So the chair will entertain a motion to suspend, actually, I'll just make my comment and then we'll do the suspension. So the way I'm viewing this process here from my perspective is don't fix what's broken, what's not broken. So, personally, I'm not looking at a holistic dump it out and start over perspective of this, which is why you've not heard much comment from me, because of that. And, I look at the optics of no matter what we do, what change we make, good, bad, or ugly, it will automatically be perceived by the public as negative. Oh, they're trying to change my precinct. I voted here for 25 years and now they don't want me to. So that's what's at the top of my mind as we have this conversation today. So if anyone else wants to make a quick little comment.
Have our guests introduce themselves?
I'll do that when we.
Okay.
I just want to give my thanks to Mr. D'Angelo, Ms. Martin, to be here to help us with the process. You all have the data. You all know what you all can do interactively as quickly, and I know Mr. Shirley had a tall order on that one, so I understand what cannot be done. But help us as best as you can, and we'll try and make it as painless as possible.
Great. Ms. Fambro, Ms. Till.
No, I agree with you that let's just fix what needs to be fixed and don't have any grandiose ideas about moving the world off the taxes.
Yep. Ms. Fambro.
Same here, and let's try to go at the hard stuff first.
Great. Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, pretending to be a secretary at the same time, so bear with
You're
me.
doing a great job.
All those in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. The rules are suspended. The next item on the agenda is the work session, and, the chair will recognize the two wonderful folks from our GIS office, and I'll actually just let them introduce themselves if they'd like. And the floor is yours.
Hey, first of all, thank you for letting us participate in this, in this process, but, before we get started, I noticed that the sheet that Pam sent around, it's missing
There's two
information.
pages of it.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Okay, well, I guess we're just, okay, I don't read it, but, we'll go.
Do you want to introduce just because there's public watching, if you wish, your name and your role?
Yes, I'm Mary Martin. I'm with the Geospatial Information Office. I'm the GIS coordinator for the county.
And I'm Joseph D'Angelo, also with the Geospatial Information Office, and I'm Chief Data Officer for the county.
Wonderful. All right. Kind of free for all conversation now. So if you want to start,
Sure.
go ahead and go from there.
And so the exhibit that's being passed around is, it might be a help to us. It identifies, it's a spreadsheet, which identifies a few things. The three locations that are, they are not locations, voting locations that are not in the precincts in which individuals vote. In other words, you live in a precinct, but you're voting in a physical location that's outside the precinct. And so those three are 6B, which is currently in Georgia Square Mall, which has got some other challenges. 4A, which is ACC's Multimodal Transit Center, which also has some challenges. And then 6D, which is on Overthorpe Avenue, it's Fire Station number 4, which is, I'll just add for anybody's benefit that Fire Station 4 has got it's most centrally located in terms of proximity to the largest number of eligible voters. But it's also unfortunately not physically in precinct 60. And so we've asked you all, and some of you all have shared your priorities for this process. I guess I'll start by asking, so two of these three are both out of precinct and also problematic from other aspects.
Right.
Is looking at Fire Station 4 also a priority?
It wasn't for me. These two were my two priorities. Fire station was not for me, but it doesn't mean it's not shouldn't be a priority.
If you said it's out of precinct,
Yes, ma'am.
that is a problem.
What was there any other ones that you guys were?
These are
These are the ones we have talked about for a year or more.
Yeah,
multimodal and Georgia Square have been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but are there any other ones that,
And I think these are the hardest one, and maybe we didn't agree,
I
but
think staff might have some
Yeah,
suggestions.
so the fire station number 7 on Barnett Shoals Road, that's very cramped in there for the number of voters for that
Right,
station.
I would echo for the 5 Points Fire Station.
yeah, that's like the smallest one.
It's,
especially parking.
no parking.
it's worse parking than Chase Street, which
Yeah.
is also
What
a
part?
parking related problem.
What
Although
part?
that particular precinct is almost ideal because, besides the parking, because it's like,
Okay.
What is
Base
the
Elementary.
precinct?
5C.
Five
Street.
D.
7, 5, 7.
Oh,
No, it's 7C.
Well,
Chase Street Elementary is
Oh,
five.
Chase,
we're talking
Yeah.
about
Okay.
two different things.
fire station.
And then 5 Points Fire Station is 7C. And then 8C is Barnett Shoals, the fire station.
Yeah. I think,
Oh, and what are the problems with these? I think you said parking and size.
Size, yeah,
Okay, but is that 7C parking and?
yes, very much so.
Yeah, and I've been over there.
yeah, it's got that weird lot that's like kind of it, but it's only like that
You
part.
can only use part of it, and then you've got a line of people trying to drive into the parking lot, and somebody doesn't have room to turn around.
Yeah,
to
it's
be able to
very
drive back
narrow.
out.
Mhm.
So what I'm thinking we should do is maybe prioritize these, rank them, and then we can start at the top.
We were gonna do the hardest one first.
For me, I think multimodal should be the first hardest one, in my opinion. Everybody agree?
I don't have a
Okay.
problem with that.
And then again, Georgia Square Mall is also my
Next,
kind of second one,
I would say that too.
yeah, okay. And now the fire stations, I think, are all equally problems, but as Joe pointed out, the 6D is out of precinct, so that should probably be the,
That's third one.
yeah.
What do y'all think of all the elementary schools in general?
I think that that's a different, well, the part of this work session, but maybe a different conversation later.
That's fine.
Don't you think so? I mean, because
Yeah.
it comes with its own set of problems,
Exactly.
which are
Yes,
not related to geography.
correct.
Yeah, what does staff think as far as the three that you guys mentioned as far as priority 4, 5, and 6? What would you order them? I would say 5 points would be number 4, in my opinion, but.
Well, to me, it's a toss-up. I haven't been to Barnett Shoals, but it's got a significantly lower voter turnout. And when I see that on this list, it makes me think that like problems at that precinct may be contributing to lower voter turnout. So
Okay.
that ends up being my personal priority is an attempt to repair any lower voter turnout
Mhm.
precincts. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Somebody refresh me, I'm trying to think
It's the
of,
one by the vet man,
by what?
by the
Vet
vet
school.
school on the corner there.
Yeah,
We need to see the.
They look like they have
elections
good
and
parking, so maybe we
percentage
should
of
investigate
turnout
that a little
to
bit when we
determine
come back
whether this is really low
and
turnout or
see
not.
what's going on
Sorry,
with
I
that.
was trying to listen to both of you while you were talking,
Good,
so,
good job.
yeah, I'm sorry, what were you
Yeah,
saying?
I said, that one particular one, because as I'm putting it in my mind, they have good parking. So maybe we should investigate that one a little more before we try to fix it.
Okay,
Which one?
The, one
Barney
at Barney Show,
okay,
Okay, the vet school,
we're looking at low
I
turnout.
talked with Charlotte, they were requesting the parking lot behind it that belongs to the
Okay.
vet school.
so let's
Use
rank,
that.
let's rank that down then.
What was it now? With the.
I mean, we're
Barney
just kind of determining between Chase Street, Fire Station 3 and 7 a priority.
Show? Yeah, I'm a little further along than that. I heard someone say that, something about the vet school in Charlotte.
Yeah, and that's related to Barnett Shoals, number 7. So,
Right, so
Okay.
what was it? Like, you all only alluded to what was said. I didn't hear what she said.
What Ms. Hill said?
Yeah, well, whatever Charlotte said.
Oh.
It might be a problem. What was it? that-
Yeah, and I think it's just a minor detail when we're talking about that particular one.
It's
Right now,
something
we're just kind of
Discuss later.
discuss later, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she could repeat it if you.
I just want a clarification from Mr. D'Angelo and Ms. Martin. You have written, on that, Excel sheet you just sent us this morning, the voter turnout, that must include the absentee voters also. That's not the voters who are walking in, right? Going to be
Probably.
62%.
It's probably the whole, is it the
I
whole
think it's
thing?
the,
Whole thing.
my understanding, it's the whole thing. I mean. this
Yeah,
is
that's
just
what I
based
thought.
on
Okay.
state
Advance
numbers.
absentee
Advance in.
Yeah.
and
Right.
election day.
So that
Mm.
column is not going to help us that much in terms of, well, I don't know how it will help us down the road, because we do have those numbers get provided to us anyway.
Okay. I'm just gonna make an executive decision here and we'll start talking about the most important one. Fire Station 3, let's make that number 5. Fire Station 7, or excuse me, Fire Station 3,
Would
make
you
that
do
number,
would you do precincts, please?
yes, 7C,
Mm-hmm.
let's make that priority number 4. 8C, priority number 5. 5C, priority number 6. Just making a decision so we can actually get to work here.
Yeah, Sage Street has a parking problem, in my opinion,
Okay,
which
well,
is really a bad thing.
yeah, so
If you don't-
16, we have number 3.
Okay,
So when
I thought you said 5C. Chase Street Elementary School?
It's 6.
is priority number 6, so I'm just,
Okay, I understand that, but what I'm saying is parking it prevents people from voting. And I go over there every time and it's just, I think that's a big problem. I think it should probably be 5 or 4.
it is. Okay,
Mhm.
well, when we get there, we can flip a
We can-
coin or whatever. But for the purpose of using our time wisely, I think we should start with number 1,
Sounds
which is
good.
4A. So,
Yeah.
real quick, if Adam has any, if they made opening comments, if you wish to give 30 seconds of something, go ahead. Otherwise, Joe has the floor.
Thank you. To be brief, I'm so excited we're doing this. The roof is not on fire right now. We're not trying to put a fire out. I think when we came back, when the multimodal center, it got rough and we came close to making a change, but we backed off because it was decided that right before an election, we didn't want to do that. I like that we're coming to this with no urgent thing to put out, nothing to solve right away, but we can take a longer view of things. I'm really excited to use a database approach, knowing that nothing about this is simple, and the cost of making a change is going to be significant for people getting used to a new voting place. So I know that we all agree we're not going to make that move lightly, we're only gonna make changes if we need to, and I'm sure y'all said the same thing before I got here.
We did.
We did. All right. She's
So,
all
okay.
yours, GIS.
Let me understand, you want to approach this as first looking at the six polling locations, see, and discuss each of them and what should be done.
Yeah, ranking them in priority. We have 2 hours. If we run out of time and we don't get to 6, then we can.
Yeah, well, I have a small issue with that. I'd like to have at least a brief discussion, and I won't argue either way. Well, I can argue one way, but what you're saying is that means we are just fixing the polling locations and find another one or fix that one, not looking at it in terms of changing the precinct lines or even having a discussion about whether you need to have a polling location in every precinct, if there is one just on the other side of the line. I'd like to have a general view of where the board stands, because I don't want to waste my time if most of you see none of that is on board.
I'll just say that my intent was not to squash a conversation or something, that just trying to use our time wisely. I think those things will come out as we are discussing.
Well, the
That's
problem
kind of-
is, we can fix these 6 locations, but then later on we'll find, well, let's get rid of one of them, or it doesn't make sense. Then we have wasted that time going around it. I'd like to start at a point, see where, I'm not sure if there is one perfect way of doing this, so you go ahead. I'll
Yeah.
support you, but I just wanted to make that point. I really would like to have at least a few minutes of discussion on how important it is to have, most of our voters have no idea where the precinct line is. They know where the polling station is located, but they don't know, they cannot go throughout the lines, and neither did most of us until we looked at the map. We had a general idea where they were. So how important is that? And how important is it to keep every single polling station open? Because not these numbers, but the ones that Adam gave yesterday or a couple of days ago were very good in terms of the actual on election day voter turnout, 20% or something like this. And if it is such small numbers, maybe we can consolidate. I just want that discussion. I'm not saying we have that now.
I was just I'll say 2 things and then I'll
Okay.
stop talking. Like I said, when I opened, my intent is not to just take this whole thing and dump it out and start
Understand.
over.
Yeah.
That's how I'm approaching it. You may be approaching it differently.
No, I'm
That's
approached the
fine.
same way.
But
What's on file?
we will not close any precincts on line watch, is what I have to say. Ms. Hill was first and then one.
Earlier, Renee brought up a really good point that I think, just for information, even if it's not today, the next meeting, that we need to know.
And that is, the current ordinance that says that the precincts will follow the commission district lines.
Oh, right.
So I think we need to figure out how to be in compliance, either change the ordinance or change the precinct lines, but somehow we need to be in compliance.
Did that ever make it to the attorney's office? That comment? I'm not sure. I would
I don't know
be
if
hesitant to. address
somebody
that
was-
Unless they're here.
It's something to keep in the back of
Yeah,
your
yeah.
mind.
So you don't want to close any polling station regardless of how it can be better moved with another polling station, better parking or some facility.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on the law, but I would assume you probably can't do that.
Oh, okay. Then that's.
But I mean,
that answers
I
that.
don't know. That would be my assumption, Ms. Fambro.
Okay.
I think that we're proceeding in a good way. And we're not just gonna, like you say, dump everything on the table. And going forth with those that are more problematic. And, well, first of all, out of precinct, and then most problematic. If we solve that, then we can begin to look at some of this stuff on the back end,
Mhm.
like things you're talking about.
Yeah.
But we need to put in place, before we can doctor on that, we need to get this in place.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
And just Renee, if we may, if we can return to the ordinance, and I appreciate you asking us to have a look at it and I did look at it and I'm confused. So the way it's worded, I think currently, per code is each district of Athens-Clarke County shall constitute a voting precinct for any election, whether general, special, primary, or other. And a polling place for each precinct shall be as follows, and then it goes through District 1, this, District 2, that, et cetera. So where are the lines mentioned per se? Well, I realize that there's some problems in the way things are laid out in terms of, there's only 8 districts for one thing.
Yeah, no, I went back, to a change that was put in 2003, when the ordinance was updated. I don't know if that was the last one or not, but it was a change that I did find. And it was stating, at that time, they were looking at adding new polling places, changing the location of some, changing the names for some polling places. And it stated there that the precinct lines, so that the outer boundaries of the precinct lines coincide with the current commission district boundaries. A voter assigned to 5B would now live and vote in Commission District 5. So if you lived or were in Commission District 2, you would vote in Precinct 2 something. So your precinct lines would follow the outline of your commission district. You may split that inside your commission district based on too many voters to be at this one location or something like that. But that was my understanding based on that change that was made at that time and how I read the ordinance. But yeah, I believe it needs to be updated at least.
Yeah, and it seems like a numbering thing that we can, again, like Willa said, fix after we address the 3 real problems.
Yep.
Yes, it may be simple. I mean, it needs updated no matter what in some.
Yeah, and I'm hesitant to touch anything unless the attorney's office is here because, you know, I don't think any attorneys in this room, so, you know. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to kind of get some clarity on that. But yes. Anyway, with that, and with your priorities in mind, I do, if I may, want to take a couple more minutes to just kind of suss out beyond the need to kind of adjust polling locations. What is important, and Mr. Kadir, I appreciate your differentiation between what happens on election day proper in the polling location versus what happens in every day leading up to it. But depending on the board's priorities, I don't know, that may or may not be crucial information. So that's why we were trying to get some sense of what's important in selecting a polling place, proximity, you know, to population overall, understanding that population also includes folks under the age of 18, who won't be eligible to vote for anywhere from, you know, 0 to
18
years.
17 and a half.
But also understanding that, you know, we don't have very much control over who moves into or out of the geographic area to start with. We do have, you know, figures of proximity to eligible voters and then also people who have a propensity to have voted in recent elections. We have that information. In other words, active eligible voters. And then we talked at one point about the possibility of creating, you know, centrality to those population centers from a visual perspective. We could think about it that way. So the precinct would be the voting location would be centrally located at the precinct boundary. And then proximity to transit is another concern that, you know, is commonly expressed by boards like yours and indeed your board. And then it's probably worth it to have a discussion of what constitutes a reasonable driving distance as well. And so with those factors in mind, I guess I'll ask what's paramount on your list, and then this issue also of location within the precinct. You know, I guess mainly pertaining to Station 4. That's the one that is kind of big questioning that it's out of precinct, but also proximal to a lot of voters. And then,
Well, I think the opposite is the case with for a multimodal,
It's way,
it's far away from
yeah,
the
it's
voters
way out of the.
and out of district. So for me, out of district is probably the most important thing to fix. And then all the other requirements and nice to haves.
Right. And then we have one final kind of like more nuanced issue, which is, district combos, meaning that in essence, the number of ballots that must be produced in any given election, given where somebody lives within a political boundary, but that doesn't have a lot of relevance to this discussion today, but maybe something to keep in mind.
Well, that depends, I mean, that's basically to help the staff in the office, I guess, by reducing the number of combinations, right? It doesn't help the voters, they know they are given a particular ballot.
Right, the voter's gonna get their correct ballot, but, you know, on y'all side, it means producing what, 50 something different
Yeah,
ballots, yeah.
I think we have, one, is one of bill or something where, when we were doing the maps for us the other time, it had like one A and one B. I can't remember what it was, but I think that was probably that kind of an issue that they were talking about.
yeah, it had
I
just
wish
like
I-
8 homes or something.
So I think that particular thing would be something to, that we probably need to address.
Right, yeah, I mean,
Mhm. And-
if you could consolidate those 7 or 8 houses into
Yeah,
the next precinct.
rather than trying to look at this whole map and see who we can consolidate right now, I think that would be foolhardy. And I really, really want to go to work, guys, so can we?
Okay, sorry, yes, so let's take a look at, so you've got, it looks like you got our first location pulled up.
4A.
And so the way I guess we're gonna do this is we'll try to tell you as much as we can related to a location. And I'm going, and while Mary manipulates the map, I'll take notes. Then when we come back to y'all on the, I believe it's the 18th, then we'll hopefully have some more granular information related to what's discussed here today, if that's fair to y'all and amenable. And so, Georgia Square Mall is, you know, in that precinct, there are about, just a little over 4,000 registered eligible voters.
Let's just focus on multimodal.
Okay.
For now.
Okay, sorry. So 4, and you've already got 4 voters. So there, you've got about 2,500 eligible voters. And that is a location that, you've got a lot of folks, within that 1 mile ring, if you will, but, not as many very, very proximal to the multimodal transit center yourself, which is kind of your point from earlier. And so some alternate location, if we were to keep this precinct boundary, which it doesn't seem like we're going to, we've got, for instance, the airport, churches, and some schools that are possibilities. And Mr. Shirley, I guess I'll pull up your list of suggestions that might help us out a bit here as well.
Is there more than one government facility here to be used? Do we just have one, the airport available?
All of the icons that look like they have columns on them, those are all government buildings.
Reliable.
I'd have to be closer to this to see it.
Let me blow, I'll just kind of blow it
Is
up
there
so
a
you'll see what
pointer
I'm
or
talking
anything?
about. Okay, all of these are government buildings.
So you've got a number that are associated with the corrections system, you know, the jail, the actual correction center itself, the police department.
Driver services or tag office.
Right. And then there's a there's a couple of miscellaneous buildings. The traffic engineering office, for instance, is out
Would all
there.
those be available for voting though?
Well, some of this is kind of your call, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because the thing about it is, it has to be researched. I'm sorry to break in,
No,
but I'm a rush ahead person. Because it kind of has to be, it kind of has to be researched because we have to always think about the electrical. If the electrical is not there, cross it off. A simple phone call can get that done.
sure.
And I also like, I think it was Miss Till, I personally like to look at county buildings first.
Yep.
Because that's what we have control of. You know, it's not having to talk to some pastor and maybe they have a funeral on election day that wasn't planned,
Right.
obviously. And, you know,
Schools don't want us.
I
Right.
agree, but we shouldn't scuttle the schools though. If we can't find anything appropriate with government, we got no other place to go. Because these people have been out of their precinct for too long.
so the one that is, I think, I'm just trying to look at the roads.
This guy right here, maybe, is that-
That's this.
I'd like, well,
So that's the probation office.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to do any kind of
right.
police
Yeah,
air
any
quotes
kind of,
type
yeah.
building.
So, yeah.
Anything to do with the penal system, it would be a no-go for me.
That's us,
Yeah, so that's right here, yeah.
right?
Um,
And we can't because there's just no parking during the day because all the workers are.
and then these are gonna be the transition center and the jail itself and the prison chapel and so forth.
Does the tag office have any auxiliary rooms in the back?
It's too small.
It's pretty, yeah.
It's tight anyway.
What you see is what you get.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tight.
Jail's not gonna work.
Are we going with the assumption that all government buildings are theoretically possible? I mean, we don't have information on their parking situation and.
The
What is-
parking is the thing about which we have the least information, but I will say a lot of these facilities do have possibly adequate parking and good ingress egress.
Okay,
They are all, you can say they're all ADA compliant.
okay.
Yeah. What about the animal control building? How's that one?
Well, it's,
Not that, the other one, yeah.
you're talking about the
That one.
current
Going on Buddy Christian.
animal services building.
125.
Parking
It's out
is,
of precinct.
Oh, it is, oh, is
Yeah.
it across the road?
yeah,
I mean, for me, we've had this conversation 25 times at the airport, but
So what's wrong with the airport that we want to just forget about it? Do we have anything better than the airport?
that's for y'all to say, but, in my opinion, you've got adequate Wi-Fi at the airport. That's a concern. You've got adequate parking. There is a fire station present there, and they have, for different reasons, rolled the trucks out of the bays and in fact, they're using the bays as spillover for, animal services right now. They've got a little bit of an outbreak that they need to contain. They're using the bays at the fire station.
Okay.
So that's a possibility. And then that's all, you've also got the terminal building itself, which has got, I guess, maybe some security concerns, but
isn't there a multipurpose room?
there is a multipurpose room. It is,
Square footage, anybody know?
it's around the size of this room, so,
Okay.
So
start counting.
how many voters in that precinct now? Because then you would have to think about how
There are
many,
about 2,500.
do you guys know approximately how many BMDs or
One
equipment
in.
that would it? Because it's like for every 250 people you have to have.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it'd be what, 10?
So if it's about this size, we can
We
kind of,
get 10.
Definitely. I mean, we put how many in the fire station?
And it's pretty small.
Exactly.
8 or at
Yeah.
least.
To me, the biggest thing the airport offers is, I'd say almost all voters know where it's located.
Right.
No, and I know we've had this conversation and I know the answer was it can be doable. Is a transit line.
It is
there's
not
no transit line.
It is not, but
But as
We
far
just
as
stepped
being,
away.
for them being, in agreement for it to be a precinct, they are on board for it to be a precinct.
okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes a big difference.
Yes.
yeah. As a permanent change or just an election day thing?
It's a permanent thing.
Okay,
Okay, I choose that.
So they know their own place.
I mean, straw poll wise, is everybody like that?
Well, I'd like to ask when Nikki's here, do we have any,
Oh,
everybody, any polling or any data done to see how many people have actually utilized public transportation to go vote?
Hmm.
It may be plenty, it may be zero. I just don't know. And I wonder if you would have some information like that, because it's, the idea sounds great. You should provide public transportation, but of the 24 precincts, if no one's ever utilized it, then it politically sounds good.
I mean, I would
It's
leave it
practical.
to the transit director, you know,
Yeah.
if they want to keep that, that's like not our problem, or not our.
Yeah,
We have that available if we need it. So, you know, that's a plus, but I don't see any negative
me
reason
neither.
to mark this out and keep beating the dead horse, thinking
Yeah.
we're gonna put it or somewhere else.
Build a new
And
building.
we got, yeah,
But can the transit people run? I mean, is there a way to have a special route on election day?
I would assume so.
I don't,
I believe that we were in the process of trying to talk to
the transit.
to see what we could get.
And it's Josh that's transit, not Nikki, so.
I mean, it's just an idea. I mean, if that's the main drawback, I mean, it might be a different.
That's an
thing.
obstacle that's easily overcome, and I know, I
Yeah.
don't know if they still do it, but like Lyft and Uber on election day, it's free. I mean, that's something we could promote if that's part of the,
If that's the case, yes, I agree.
Normally, it's free. Also, I'll just add that within a mile of an existing transit route, which the airport is within a mile of an existing.
oh, they have that
They
thing,
have
yeah, yeah.
on-demand service, yeah, so it's really,
Okay.
regardless of whether a special were to be able to run out there, a voter could request service out
Yeah.
to the
I
area.
would say that,
Also, Economic Justice Coalition always provides transportation
Yeah,
on
yeah.
election day too.
So transportation is not an obstacle.
No, it's not.
That's an easily overcomable thing.
Yes.
I think we have a unanimous agreement on this, so I suggest we move to the next one.
I agree.
And the next one being precinct 6B, Georgia Square Mall. And I'll say that I think the most obvious problem is that building is going away. So that's that. Yeah.
Were they even in precinct?
Well, yeah, I mean,
That also.
yeah,
So
it's not exclusively the only problem.
Yeah,
So we need
but
something not close to it's what I'm thinking.
Right, the only building that I was thinking is also not in precinct, so.
Okay. So I don't know.
that's gonna be a hard go, because we looked at it the other day.
6B.
There isn't much out there to go to.
Yeah. You may have to share a polling station for this.
So can you pull up the precinct where they are now?
Yep, it's right there.
It's
Uh-huh.
next door.
And that's where they are there?
They're in 6A,
Okay.
serving 6B.
Okay. And what is the closest precinct to that, just in case?
The voter
6A.
There has to be something combined.
6A, 6C.
The
Or voter turnout or eligible voters?
eligible, that's not easy to look at while you're comparing, I think.
Yeah.
On the left there, here.
For eligible voters.
Oh, I see. Sorry,
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
See now, yeah, so then you're looking at that church up there, well, that's just as far or it's further from the people than this one, it's,
That's why I asked.
oh, it updates, okay, never mind.
What's the closest, could you point out the closest polling place that is now open to that area?
That school.
Well, I see
It's the
Timothy
old
Road,
fire
Elementary.
station where they had the COVID.
There's a lot of pink stuff on the
Yeah,
map,
And
yeah.
that 6
Or
feet.
Cleveland Road Elementary.
So that is in the 6B, I believe.
Yeah,
It's
6A.
Right on the Mitchell Bridge corridor.
Right.
Mhm.
Now, the status of that is somewhat up in the air. I mean, it's good. Is it 6B or is it 6B?
It looks like 60.
Former fire station.
60. Yeah.
You've got a church way up there in the
Yeah.
northeast of 6B.
So it's Calvary Church. It's
Mhm.
on Palace Road. It's got, they have about 25 acres total on that parcel, between two parcels. They've got quite a bit of parking.
Mhm.
got an improvement on the front lot and they've also got an improvement on the back lot.
What about,
Do they
isn't there
have,
like a humane society or something over there? Or is it-
Yeah, that's not a
Nonprofit.
government-owned building.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But you know which building I'm talking about?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on Mitchell Bridge, over end of Mitchell Bridge.
is the church just one component, I mean, just one building, or do they have side buildings for other functions?
They've got two buildings up front and then they've got a second chapel or something on the second parcel. And so there's the two buildings and then a parking lot and then some wooded area and then the chapel set back. So, yeah.
Chapel is off limits more or less, cause like Rocky said, you never know when people gonna die and something.
Sure.
And,
That's why I asked about other buildings on the property, if they were separate.
and I know the comment I'm about to make is contradictory to what I said for the last one, but we do hold early voting at the Extension Center, which is out of precinct.
Yes.
And it's very close and it's, you know, like you think about change management and people's human behavior, right? It's much closer, more easily adaptable,
Just down the street kind of thing.
right?
Yeah.
You know, it's still on a bus.
Yeah, and then cluster down here.
It's that other fire station and, yeah, right there.
What would bring up the total number of people if we merged them into that precinct? What would be the total number
So
of people?
6A has
Well, it's
got,
not, because it's the early voting, it's the cooperative.
It's part of
6A
that.
has got about,
Just use it.
Yeah, we use it for, now,
For advance, but not election day.
right.
Okay, okay.
Do we like it for advanced?
I do, yeah.
That's.
Is that a
It's got a nice
UGA
big
or is it a ACC
it's
building?
owned by ACC Gov. It's got very large community room, like
Mhm.
probably twice the size of this.
I mean,
It's
but this
fantastic.
counter to
That's
the
why I was
argument. of the
asking
last
about-
one.
The numbers, you know, of people, because that would determine if the building is large enough, and I'm pretty sure it probably is, and it's a good location.
And now here's an opportunity, if we were to select a co-op, here's an opportunity to look at what
Yes.
Hank's talking about. See, it all kind of
Yeah.
just comes out as you talk about it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
By the way, do we?
Moving or merging or whatever, adjusting the lines.
For those difficult places that we can't really find anything for.
Yeah, and I mean, also, you're moving a precinct line, but it's not as impactful as moving your county commission line or your state
Yeah,
house. Or your-
Exactly.
Yeah.
People
Blah,
don't
blah,
know
blah,
where the
right.
lines are. Do we still, or does the city still own where the old Clark County Education Office used to be, right off Mitchell Bridge Road?
That's what I was, that's the human.
That's the healthcare place now. Advantage, yeah.
Or is that what it is now?
They don't have anything to do with that. They sold that building. Yeah, they sold
That
that
would have been good
building.
otherwise. That was a good place.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is you have kind of, you can see there's kind of a gulf in the middle of 6A where you've got a large population center on that Mitchell Bridge Road corridor and going up Tallahassee.
Mhm.
And then you've got, toward the county boundary, you've got a burgeoning population out there. And then in between, which the population that's growing, you know, on that 78 corridor heading out of the county, you know, the extension would be an ideal location for them.
Yeah, my vote is extension, but I'm just
We're
one
looking
person.
for the best answer, not the perfect answer.
Right, right.
So you just pull
What's
up
this?
Cleveland Road.
That's what she's got highlighted now is Cleveland Road.
Uh-huh.
And like, I'm looking at the printout that was given in, this is matches the same house. So there's, when I say there's nothing there, what I mean by nothing is, we asked to select possible candidate things like churches, government buildings, vacant buildings, schools, and there's just none of those in the southwest corner. It's just,
So extension sounds like a good fit.
it's, yeah.
Sounds like it has
Ask her to pull it up to pinpoint
The
on the
building
map.
itself is ideal.
Right.
Oh, there, right.
There it is. Uh-huh.
You see, it has a
Yeah.
large roof we could use.
Mhm.
I think that sounds good.
Also, we will consider making a permanent change.
Does it seem like,
It would. Okay. Yeah, but you know, structure about possibility of shuttle.
Specifically for just the elections, right?
Yeah,
for voting time? Yep.
yeah.
And where would pick up the?
I would say multi-mode. Oh, I don't know.
See what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I mean, since
So we have
it's a new change, it would make sense to have a pickup at multimodal on the side, with a transit shuttle, maybe for the first one or two.
but there's nowhere to park at multimodal.
And it's getting worse.
Right, it was no way.
That's
Right, but if you're taking transit, you're most likely not parking your car.
Yeah, just-
In other words, people would take a bus there more or less.
Right.
What about the park and ride
Yeah.
on Lexington?
That's true. Parking lot.
Oh, it's a marshalling point, like a, yeah.
That's probably not, well, is there a bus stop right in front?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
That's probably not a bad idea.
yeah.
By the train, yeah.
Is that in their precinct?
The park and ride itself is not gonna be in the precinct, but it, as a staging area to take folks on to the airport.
Yeah.
But see what I'm saying, like,
But if you parking, you're gonna drive on over where you're going. That's my thinking.
right.
Yeah.
If
And
you parking,
especially
if I'm not gonna go to the parking lot.
Now, if we're talking
That's
about Fulton County, that's a different situation, where you're parking and riding and doing these things, but here, that's probably, you're right. You know, I think it would make more sense.
It's also a transit stop is what Jess was saying too. So-
Yeah, so you could take the, in other words, you take the bus from the multimodal over to that park and ride and then get picked up by the shuttle there.
Oh, I see, right.
Okay,
Take it on.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to solve that now. I mean, yeah, sorry to get us back on track.
Votes for extension, I think you got,
We have 3 thumbs up on extension. Do
yeah. Mhm.
we have any thumbs down, or do we have
Okay.
no votes on
Can you
extension?
expand out and put an icon on extension and an icon on where the mall, which was out of precinct anyway, so,
This one's the mall.
okay, right there.
And
James,
this one's.
Do we not have?
Yeah.
more?
Okay, so I'm amicable to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh,
Okay,
look at that. 5 thumbs up.
we got it.
I love it.
So
On
straw
to the
poll
next
shows
one.
broad consensus around shifting mall
To
to
extension.
extension office.
Mhm.
So the third one on the list, I think it's gonna be a bigger challenge, is 6D. It's Fire Station 4, Oglethorpe Avenue.
6D.
D is in dog.
And the parking and the building itself are a problem.
Oh, question I have for Adam. If, since this is a work session, are you still taking the notes?
I am,
Okay,
I mean, insofar as I can, because I'm trying to,
yeah,
Participate.
but
Yeah.
yes.
okay.
I mean, we have to take notes of the motion, like.
The motion, but,
suspend and
yeah,
Adjourn and.
Okay.
But for us to look at later, definitely, yes.
We have to.
because I'm not writing anything down,
Right.
so I'm hoping.
And I'm learning my goldfish brain, will forget this.
You
You can always go back to the
To the video.
video.
Yeah,
So the other thing here that you have is that location is also out of precinct.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got a dearth of government buildings in
And
actual
what
6D.
Precinct is, 6D.
60, yeah, and so this is a very sparsely populated precinct as well.
As far as density wise. Well, I mean, that fire station that we're talking about on Mitchell Bridge, it is in 60
Could
And
we
it-
combine it?
county building.
It has 1775 eligible voters.
The fire station where they were,
The COVID drive-through thing.
that's, for me, that's tiny.
So one other thing about that, if you don't mind, it is also slated for a remodel.
Okay.
What's that?
And that's the former fire station too. So in the next 6 to 12 months, it's gonna get a remodel. And then, its future status is also unknown. So,
Okay, that's the realignment.
Yeah,
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's not really within ACC's span of control. That's really a GDOT decision.
Right,
So
Yeah,
They could kind of pull the cord on that any day.
so
Or not pull. the
That was a
cord.
teaspoon.
we can cross that off then.
Catch me up on there. I'm following my own pronouns of the thing we're referring to. So that building is possibly gonna be, need to go away because of road widening or GDOT? What's happening?
Yes, so there's an
Oh, that's not
intersection
even-
realignment project.
Can you highlight that?
Where are we at? What
Which
intersection?
one?
This is
The one that's
intersection of
going
Mitchell
away,
Road,
the building
Atlanta
that's going
Highway.
away.
Got it.
So you've got Mitchell Road, Atlanta Highway, and then Timothy Road.
Yeah, I see.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
That intersection
Okay.
needs to be straightened a little bit.
Number
Gotcha.
two, uh-huh,
And
that's at 3500.
Those are all
No,
GDOT
not that.
entities.
Uh-huh, that's the one I was asking about.
Yeah,
Where the COVID drive-through was,
Yeah,
did you ever do a test in there?
Not there.
So you got Publix and Station Two.
Got it. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
Closer to that.
And so we're saying since that's gonna be all.
GDOT control.
Because of,
It's such a.
GDOT, then maybe we need to move anyway, is that kind of where we're, okay?
You,
No, it's
No,
not
no,
currently
no.
in that building. That's just not one that we would want to
Oh,
consider.
yeah, we're kind of throwing that one away
Thank you. Okay,
because of the uncertainty.
got it, thank you.
Yeah, but we still got a problem where they are.
Two strikes again,
Yeah.
gotcha, thank you.
okay.
So could you highlight where they are presently located?
Sure, the voting location, the current
Yeah,
voting
that's the
location is there. So one possibility is you take, local ballot out in elementary school, but you're still not in the precinct.
Right, now,
So where are they really supposed to be?
So 6D is what we're targeting. And so Mary is
I'd have to
suggesting
combine
that
these two.
if you take 5A.
And this would be in the middle of both of them.
Split it, yeah.
Yeah, and you're really only adding 1,775 eligible voters.
so then we're just adding more BMDs to Oglethorpe then, is that what we're?
In the school.
And so, yeah, I mean, now you're into a school, but you also, you've got not a lot of.
Now, all
What-
UGA property is out of the question, because there's the Health Sciences campus over there, but.
We haven't added UGA, so the directive from Director Sosby was, we can't say no, like meaning ACC Gov can't say no. Everybody else,
Yeah,
Right.
Pam, am I right about this? Everybody else can say no?
Right.
Like other agencies and stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
so the suggestion is to go with 5A?
So to combine
No, 6B.
Combine
No.
5A and 6D.
Uh-huh, so what would that look like? Can you just put us in that area where 5A is right now and take everything else out?
Wait a second.
5A doesn't have that much, does it?
This is 5A right here.
Okay, can you take the blue out?
285.
Turn the heat off. in other words.
So this is 5A
Okay, so
and this
That's
is
there.
6D.
Mhm.
So
I mean, it's
combine-
big.
5A is located
But
within
it's a great
5A,
location.
where's the precinct
Yeah.
located?
They're voting at Oglethorpe right now.
Okay.
Right here.
That's, it's right there on the border?
Right,
Yes.
right.
Okay,
I, just so everyone knows, if we were to combine those, that's 5,060 voters.
and we've been staying away from that because we had some combined because of school structure. And when 2020 or 2021, we separated those because we feel that once you get up to a certain number, you're overloading and overcrowding.
Yeah, so you've got, Howard B. Stroud would be.
Could we have two I'm sorry, could we have two precincts in that area?
You could, you do now. You do now. The problem is you don't have two places to
Yeah.
vote.
That's-
So if I understood correctly, what you said earlier, if we were to combine 5A and 5D,
It's 60, yes.
or 5A and 60, sorry, yeah. The number of voters there, you said about 5,700?
It's about 5,200.
5,200, and that's less than we currently have at one of our other voting locations,
It's a
right?
little less.
So it's definitely a doable number, since we
Right.
currently run efficient elections at Stroud
And JJ Harris is. a
and
similar
JJ
number.
Harris, so we're able to handle that 5,200 number.
And I
We would
think
just
Do
ship
we have
that
the-
equipment.
Do we have the same
Right.
space?
Oglethorpe is a
Oh,
huge
yes,
space.
Elementary, it's a decent,
Cafeteria.
Yeah, it's a gym.
Maybe
If it's
not
in the gym, then
From that one neighborhood across the street.
it overthought.
Yeah, and
Is it
what's-
consistently been in the gym?
yes, and what's really nice about that too is that there's an outdoor gym.
Actually,
an
that's
entrance.
An
the,
entrance to the gym.
Okay.
That's
Pam-
not, you don't have to go through the school.
So Pam or Renee, Ann just made a good point. I would assume there's a large percentage of early voters that vote at Oglethorpe. or like, or, yeah, is there a way to look at,
To know how many people in.
like last time, what were the early voting numbers like for that particular precinct? Because, yeah, we're gonna bring it up to 5, but traditionally,
There may not be actually.
45% of those people.
Right, I'll tell you from looking at the numbers that Director Sosebee had shared with us, that the percentage of election day voters for each precinct varied from a minimum of 12% to a max of 29% of that total. So the hypothetical.
On election day.
On election day.
My guess, just pulling a number, is probably like 18-20%,
Sure.
given the demographic.
And so then
Yeah,
20%,
that's what I was talking about
It would
earlier.
still be able
Exactly.
to be-
that's 1,000 voters on election day.
Yeah.
That sounds very doable.
Right.
Yeah,
That sounds very doable.
yeah.
And that's why to come up with a good decision, I think at least we have to keep in mind what the actual turnout has been
Yeah.
Right.
in that area. Otherwise,
Yeah, I
we go
mean,
nuts.
again, I'm the thumbs up for combining into Oglethorpe and just increasing.
Yeah.
I think in the messaging of our community input sessions, that needs to be emphasized, though. It's-
Yeah.
We're combining, but we're also increasing capacity
Making it
Yes.
better.
at these locations, and traditionally, such and such percent of people early vote at this particular, you know.
And it'll be easier to access because you'll have, enough parking. There's, a better way to enforce or ensure the voter privacy because you've got more space to separate.
To
the
separate the
booths
B
and-
and
yeah. So there's
Ds.
good ways to speak to that.
I'm all for that.
Okay, on to the next.
4 thumbs or 5 thumbs?
For this consolidating 5A and
Yeah.
6D and centering on Oglethorpe Avenue, yeah, sure.
Is everybody, that will put them in their place and where they should be,
Everybody will. vote.
back in their precinct,
They'll
back
vote,
in.
they'll all vote in their precinct, and and again, that's a very dense area that's very dense with eligible voters, so.
Mhm.
You're, even though you're increasing the north and
number.
south region there, you're really still kind of packed in pretty tight.
It's got.
Well, that was one of our points of being able to, first of all, get everybody back in precinct.
It has transit, and isn't there a church across the street that could be potential overflow parking?
No, it's a little bit further up.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, the Forest Heights Church, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of churches right in that stretch, but.
Yeah.
I think they'll have sufficient parking at Oglethorpe. I don't think that's gonna be something we're gonna have to worry about, because like on, with the well-oiled machine that the, Board of Elections is, it's kind of like in and out, It's not like you're going in there and stay 30 minutes, and you're holding up a parking space for somebody waiting on the outside.
So up next is precinct 7C. This is the first one in which, we've looked at today that voters are voting within their precinct
Precinct, but no
already.
parking.
But yes, no parking if the congestion.
Well, 5 points, people are, like me, are walking to our polling station.
Yeah.
A lot of the voters are walking to it.
Can you show us the density over there?
Do that later.
Okay,
I can't tell.
Okay.
okay.
When we're done, we're done, bro.
Are you talking about 5C or 7C?
Talk about.
Talking about, 7C.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
7C. And that's them within that, within those, okay.
So this is right on the border of.
And where is it now?
C.
There,
Right
This
here
one
at the
is actually in
5
8.
okay, so where, are they any, maybe we should take into,
7C and 7B, right on the border,
Yeah.
7C, 7B.
so since
4B.
we're looking for another place, then where are the icons for county buildings or
Well,
schools?
how about Memorial Hall? I really like it because it's, Memorial Park. That's a great location. Now, I
There's a
don't know
lot
if
of
it fits
space
our
there.
criteria or not.
I don't think it's in
It's-
7C.
It's 4B.
Yeah, it's a different,
You've got the full park to park.
It's right,
Yeah, see, there's your.
it's not in
Oh, wow.
7C.
so where, are there any government buildings in that area or
So there's
schools?
old fire station 3.
Do we have, I know it's out of precinct, but Barrow Elementary,
What
That's
elementary?
gonna be.
that's right there.
Up there, that's further away.
Oh, it's not that one?
Mm.
Is it that one?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Barrow Elementary will not fly.
Yeah,
The
schools are a
location,
problem.
getting in and out,
Mhm.
it's not gonna work. but y'all can look at it.
Then then if we get, it's small, but it seems like it's gonna throw us out of precinct, the problem we've been trying to solve. So
What was
what
the-
churches are over there?
What was
Anybody?
that Christian ministry thing?
Oh, that's right.
No, that's a campus ministry, right?
This one?
No,
This
No
one?
one at the top.
just by coming toward,
Yeah.
Macon Highway.
Georgia Christian Campus,
I thought-
is that it?
Yeah, that's,
Within precinct though?
That's not what I'm thinking of.
they actually border my house.
Who's that guy right there halfway down?
That's folks.
Which one, this one?
Sorry, yes.
But believe me,
Isn't
there
that-
is no way you can
Oh,
hold that.
that's way down
Is
there.
it? Is it? Okay.
That's by Macon Highway, isn't it?
Okay,
Or no?
so,
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
getting that way.
Yeah.
So you're, well,
So what are your issues with Memorial Park? Does anyone have a major issue?
Well, it's out of precinct, but it
Oh,
doesn't really necessarily preclude you from,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this situation has the exception like we made over by the mall. But
so look, I wanted to share with y'all, I love the location by location approach we're doing. This is great. We're making some progress.
Which
But
location?
sorry,
Which location?
I love just so far, I love the progress we're making by going location by
Yeah.
location, not lines, but looking at the lines for this. How is this polling precinct serving any voters well? Look at the people in the bottom of 7C and the top of 7C. How can we expect them to think, oh, it makes sense that I have to go all the way up to the very top of the precinct to vote in that place? I'm gonna drive by one, maybe two polling places to get to my polling place. I hope we have bandwidth after we put out these fires at these places that have problems. I hope we have the bandwidth to try and re-examine this, because that is just, it drives me nuts that we might end up sticking with that weird salamander looking thing.
in other words, at some point, we're gonna have to move some lines.
I'm hoping we have the bandwidth. I love what we're doing. I don't want to disrupt this, but this just makes me pull my hair out because who's it serving, right?
Okay, I'll tell you who's, the fact that they don't have to go to 7C, I think that helps because of the parking
You mean
situation.
Memorial, not Memorial.
And-
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I'm all for changing the Memorial, but I just see like, why, like
Memorial parking is usually pretty full.
sticking within 7C, I have.
Not
no-
during the daytime. Well,
No.
7C is hard to get in and out, so a lot of us go walk there, no doubt about that.
Right.
So I think that's a plus. The second plus is, and I don't know if this makes sense, but it's a fairly affluent community.
Mhm.
People don't mind getting in the cars to go someplace.
Right.
You don't have to worry about things like buses or transport. So it's, 7C is, I think,
Memorial Park in that precinct.
no, that's
It's
the
just
discussion
outside.
because it's not. It's the next
Yeah, that's,
precinct.
I wanted to bring that back around.
Yeah, it's in,
Okay,
I got
well, we're
something.
trying to
Right. I'm
circumvent.
sorry, yeah, sorry. But yes, narrowly, I love what we're doing. This sounds great.
You know, it's just hard to imagine that there aren't any places, and as you say, such an affluent neighborhood. I guess the fire station is the only thing over there.
Yeah,
that more
because
is
it's-
city services,
Right.
They don't need certain types of help.
yeah, everything is very compacted there. You don't have large spaces anywhere.
I know, I know,
That's
I
Except
know.
the south section of 7C.
We
I
have.
mean, that
Botanical
whole
Garden.
little section right down there is far away from.
You mean
the fire
botanical
station.
gardens? Yeah, that's a great place, I think.
so what Mary
That's
has
way
done
out.
is turn on the district boundaries, because if we are going to hold ourselves to, redrawing
Yeah.
based on.
Well,
Spirit of the ordinance,
Exactly.
That's what you're dealing with,
Right.
so.
Yeah, you can't go to the
So-
district.
I mean, if we start to talk, botanical garden, that's UGA again.
Mm,
So if we're talking UGA, there's UGA where all the softball and all that stuff is near
Mhm.
Barrow Elementary. So I mean, if you open the UGA can. Also, I understand that comes with its own set of challenges and conversations that you have to have.
There's so many layers you gotta deal with when you're
Right.
talking about doing something with.
Parking, you gotta coordinate with UGA parking, it's like you're voting,
And parking is-
there's like a whole thing,
Yeah,
right?
because parking is not the best.
Are you talking about the botanical gardens?
Just in
I don't
general,
think
dealing with.
parking is as much of an issue with botanical, but
It's a different district anyway.
over by all the athletic facilities.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
good
there's-
idea.
All those churches on Lumpkin, there's that Catholic church, there's a couple other ones right there too.
What about Lake Herrick? Does that fall in our precinct we are looking at? That's another great facility, a lot of parking lots, but I don't know if there's a building there that will house.
Again, UGA.
I don't
Well, there
think,
is parking lot there.
That's the problem when they own 42% of the land, right?
It fascinates me, just, I love that Ms. Mary has turned on has shown us the current, because the spirit of that ordinance that Renee was talking about means that perhaps one day when the commission reconciles the ordinance and updates it, this will have to be the outline of our precinct boundaries, which is totally different. Right?
I mean, that would get rid of this.
It kind of does what we're already saying. It would make that area, current 7C, have to kind of go to a memorial, right? As a logical place. Am I looking at the right place?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mary, could you, I don't know if it's possible, but all those churches on Lumpkin, can we light those up?
Yeah, there's one at the corner of Lumpkin and
There's
Westlake.
4 in a row there.
Wait,
That's South of 5 Point.
it's right in there, yeah.
Yeah, by Cali and Tito's, there's like 1, 2, 3,
No,
4.
no, those are on
Those are
Westlake,
student
behind Beechwood.
On those UGA student centers.
No?
He's talking like where the Catholic Center
This
is.
is London.
Oh, Catholic. No way.
There's
You're
some
talking
others.
about lunch.
You'll never get in and out of that one. That will not happen.
There's brainstorming.
Right, sure.
Yeah, those are all student places. Those won't work. You
But-
can look at them.
Given that it is student places, are the dorms in this precinct? Because we're turning our nose up at it being UGA and student, but are the voters?
No,
A
I'm
percentage
not,
of,
because it's UGA, I'm saying those are just small. I'm
See what I'm
familiar
saying?
with all of them.
Yeah, but I see what you're both saying. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
The only large church on that area, as I recall, the one I've been a couple of times is one Westlake and Lumpkin.
That's way out.
down by the 5-star automotive. On,
No,
Big
that's
Highway.
Macon Highway.
Well,
He's not
Keep
talking
my
about
more
that.
park is already in use.
Ms. Tell suggests the bowling.
Voting shift time, all right. Yeah, I think seeing the current, or the new commission districts, it kind of centers Memorial Park anyway, like we were thinking of anyway.
We don't have signs and-
I feel like parking's an issue at Memorial Park if you increase capacity. Every time I've gone on election day, all those spots by the pool and facing the zoo are always full.
Correct, except you can make a left turn and park all around that circle to go in and out. There's lots of parking there, I promise you.
Does it,
Not super accessible parking.
isn't,
Well,
Yeah.
that's true, yes.
Some handicap stuff in mind.
there is a
Yeah, you have to walk.
There's a splot project in the works for Memorial Park, I thought. There's gonna be some renovation.
Oh, on the,
That's
Which-
in progress.
Which will not ruin the whole
Then
plan.
that takes that away.
There'd have,
Yes.
well, at least temporarily, right? There'd have to be a substitute place. A replacement place for a little while.
But you already have folks voting there. as well.
Right, that's gonna be a problem anyway, we're gonna.
Is there any alternate parking, but, and I know I'm asking a crazy question because I go to J. Christopher's and you have to practically have a handicap sticker to get in that little area over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But is there any place that's at a minimum of less than maybe, 0.2 miles or 0.1 mile, you know, that is in that area anywhere
I can
that
think
could
of it.
possibly park? Because
And I
it's
walk
just,
there
it's
every
just so
day.
tight over there.
Yeah.
Fair.
It's just,
We've reached out to multiple businesses in that district for, whole worker parking. We were trying to get
Mhm.
a place for people to park and
Yeah.
then walk over or park and like carpool over. And, even some things that were closed on the weekend, like their
Mhm.
land, or not the weekend, the weekdays,
Mhm.
their landlord is like, no. You know, or like someone that owns the building is like not willing to.
Well, the owner of 5 and 10 was very supportive at one time that the poll workers can park there and at certain hours, because he himself was at one time a poll worker at 7C.
Mhm.
So can you humor me and just tell me what's the name of that church on
Westlake and,
Westlake and
what is that street that comes?
Westlake
Is it
and
Westlake
Lumpkin?
and Lumpkin?
Westlake.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
It's
make,
Big
about-
church.
It's a huge church.
It's a huge
hold on,
church.
hold on.
Yeah.
I wanna make a,
St. James, that's it.
Mhm.
can
I
we
think
open a new tab and do Google Street View on that address? I'm sorry, I'm just having trouble visualizing. Is that too much of an ask?
I mean, I remember it having, yeah, we
It's,
should do that.
it's basically what, about
We're having a
6
big
blocks
one.
away from the fire
Yes,
station, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
The pockets
Yeah,
are right.
I finally realized
No,
what you were talking about,
This is-
cause I go that way often, cut through. the-
It has a massive parking lot. Like, it's bigger than a lot of the schools.
And it's like 7C. Might be on 7B, but it's right on the corner of
Right on the
7B
cusp.
and 7C.
Mhm.
Hank, if it's the one that I'm thinking of, I think.
Sorry, Mary.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's the street that heading toward, 441.
Right,
What,
Yeah.
that, once you make that right
Yeah.
on
right.
Columbia.
It checks a lot of boxes. I wonder, and I'm sorry. Phil.
He says it's really on the cusp
Yeah.
of the, but even if it is,
Right.
It's a huge
Now-
parking, huge church, and very close, and I think still either it's on 7C or right on the border. It might be 7B,
And so
which is
now,
okay.
it checks so many boxes, but I wanted to point out,
it's so huge.
it's got enough space that maybe this would not be a problem, but I worry, well, first of all, I worry about what Willa pointed out, that we don't know about their wiring situation.
Yeah.
Right?
There's some things that have to be investigated, I
And-
think,
Have you guys looked into that?
between now and,
Not that I'm aware of.
between now and the 18th.
And then I don't know,
We could put it up as a possibility and go forth and make
Yeah.
something else a possibility.
Right.
Maybe have 3 possibilities.
The way it's going now.
I will take it out of the list.
Yeah, maybe
I
we
know
could
that-
make a write a list.
Yeah.
Where
And
there's a
find
will,
out
there's a
some
way.
stuff between now and the 18th.
if someone's a comment in there and they have a level of die, then you have to be on the same person there.
That's gonna be.
But during, so I wonder.
But that's the thing, because most churches have sidewalks.
Right.
And, so if
That'd
we
be a
can,
huge, right.
yeah,
Because we, we certainly wouldn't wanna, if they have been going to that church 60, 70 years. we
yes,
wouldn't
yeah,
wouldn't
we don't
wanna
wanna
Make
interfere.
them choose between, right?
Mhm.
So it'd still be in 7C, well, actually 10C, right?
Right.
Yeah.
10C.
As far as Memorial Park concerned, Lisa's saying that, that's one of the busier locations and it's impossible to add more equipment to that for
That's
additional.
what I understand. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize that.
What's that?
Memorial Park,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what cause I always go there on election day. And it's always busy.
So, yeah, so as far as combining that one. wouldn't be
Yeah,
a
they
good
got,
idea.
they got, a bunch of voters over there.
I'm a no
They
vote,
will
or
probably-
I'm a
Push over
not
there.
voting. Not a no. On that church, I would like to see more info. On the one we just looked at.
We couldn't possibly vote on it today anyway.
No, I
By
know,
the
but
18th.
as far as like thumbs
The
up, thumbs
staff,
down,
yeah. I'm
neutral.
You can always inquire.
I said put it on the list and let them inquire. And maybe
Yeah.
we look at, see if we can scrounge up something else.
And I think it's imperative that they have like a multi-purpose room or a separate.
Oh, it's a huge
That's what
church.
we're talking about. That's what Adam and I were just talking
And then
about.
I know that once upon a time, I'm sure, there was a time before we had voting in Unitarian Universalist, but we've established that relationship, and as far as I've heard, the fact that I've heard no problems shows me it's been a fine relationship. We've worked it out, smoothed it out, so we could get the same way with any other church, I'm sure.
And St. James is very supportive of community efforts,
Yeah.
because as I said, I've been there several times.
Oh, that particular church.
And
Yeah, that was the concern.
University has a separate building.
Right.
I was like, we need to just make sure that these
But I-
churches are aware of the laws and no campaigning and
Right.
all these type of
But you gotta
things.
start someplace.
They
Right.
can't go hanging banners in their sanctuary or whatever, you know what I mean?
I think we need to put a couple more eggs in that basket though, y'all.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, see if we can find 2 more places and not just trying to hinge on this and see what else, you know.
Can I ask a question? So you were showing earlier an old fire station. Is that an empty building now?
Old Station 3 is, I'm not sure of its status, to tell you the truth. What is it 1775 South Mountain or 1175 South Mountain?
Where exactly is that?
So
between-
it's that one right there.
Yeah, it's a 5 Points fire station.
Well, the new 5 Points fire station is at the intersection.
Right.
Of Lumpkin Village, yeah.
Lumpkin and Millis.
What was the old one?
This is the new, this is the one on the corner, this is the old one,
Oh,
down by the bank.
Oh, down the street.
Right behind,
Okay.
what is that?
Can we-
Behind a bank?
I
Looks
can't-
like,
Yeah, it used to be
it's like
GUC.
Lumpkin Cafe.
It's-
Yeah,
It's
now-
right next to it.
Well, now it's going to be a ice cream shop.
it's where Millage
That was a fire station?
Circle splits.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yes,
That little, that used to be the Georgia United Credit Union?
that was long before us, yes.
So is it no longer a county property or?
We, from what I understand, we still own it, and I don't know, I don't know what's going on with it, honestly.
And is it in any condition to be
What is the
habitable?
address?
44 South Lincoln.
Yeah, it's almost like a house.
Google Maps gives me the wrong place. It has me back on the backside of it, on Westview.
It's very tiny.
Very tiny.
Cute.
But I mean, if you could fit a fire truck in there, that might be.
That's what hit my brain.
Something for
If they have one or two fire trucks, they had to have some kind of square footage.
Yeah,
Could we get some square footage information on that? And is it electrically sound
and
And-
parking. is
and
the-
parking?
the
Yeah,
thing
those
we're
three
trying to
things.
fix, right?
Uh-huh.
Let me see what I can do about that.
Old fire station, and I didn't put it in.
What are they all looking at?
The old fire station number 3.
Yeah, this might be out of date where it's located, but I'm not sure.
And the fact that
Maybe.
if they still own
If it has any parking at all, it'll be better than
it.
the current one, pretty much, right? Like, it's just,
So
But it's not much, I'll tell you that.
oh, this building we're talking about now would not have much.
You're talking
the
about
fire station.
I'm saying currently, current fire station has this much parking, right?
Yeah, it's
So
not
if
much.
this other, even if it's an old building, if
Yeah.
it has this much parking, then, right, that's a step in the right
Yeah.
direction.
Does anybody know why they moved or had to be a reason for them to move? Which might be something that would prohibit us from using it.
Good point.
So the whole building is right under 4,000 square feet, about 3,980 square feet. And I don't have any,
It's bigger than this room.
What would that
Yeah,
be?
there.
That's all in though. That's,
That was a fire station?
That's Fleet Feet and then
Yes, it
Lumpkin
is.
Cafe and then.
Which
next
one?
comes the- Yeah,
No.
there it is.
So where's
Oh,
where
wait,
the
turn
fire station?
is that,
Where is it?
No, but the current fire station is further.
No,
back.
no, no. I wanna see
This
the old one.
This
The old
one, if you make a right.
When, in like 1923? Like, I don't see how any of this could have been.
So which, the red,
yeah, where,
the black?
You know what? It doesn't
Black
matter.
building?
That one.
that could be the driveway, maybe,
Yeah,
could have been.
If the county doesn't own this building,
where you see that little bit, yeah, but
but
you
even
don't
though
know
they still
that
own it, we
building.
must be renting it to someone.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't, yeah.
Oh,
We're
Oh,
wasting
so it's
time.
a house now.
It's,
It's a business.
What's
It's a
the business?
finalized portraiture.
Okay, so that's no,
Yeah, I think we're,
oh, there's no place to park.
let's move on past this.
There's nothing.
that's somebody living there or a business.
Who knows? Yes.
Yeah, it's a business
Mm.
there.
I think we should move on, but
We're gonna have to come back to that one.
I mean, we need more info so we can
Yeah.
look at it.
So you're going to look up info on St. James Church possibly. Okay.
Could you ask Charlotte to include that in the report at the regular meeting? Is that enough time?
What's that again?
Well, the St. James,
Okay.
okay. But if we could at least get the info at our regular meeting, so then we can be a little more prepared with this.
So we can have it filed for the next week.
Yeah, the meeting
Yeah.
on the 11th, yeah,
That's what it is.
2 or 3 business days. No, you guys are busy.
according to y'all,
Financials.
next one you wanna look at, yeah, is 8C. So,
Yeah,
and that's right on the, kind of right on the border of the precinct between itself and.
and at the very beginning of this meeting, Ms. Till mentioned something that Charlotte had said, and Ms. Willa did not hear her, so why don't you repeat that so everyone can hear?
Okay, on election day, I went over there checking on it. They complained to me, they were very nice, that
The
they,
poll workers.
yeah, the, parking lot behind them, they would like access to it. It belongs to UGA Med School. So Charlotte, I told Charlotte that, and I thought she said that she would check on that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because people could, like, this is where they pull into the fire station to go. There's a line here, I don't know if it's the sidewalk, and they could park here and walk
if
in.
anything, we could buy like 5 passes from UGA for our poll workers for that lot. I mean, if that's, you
Could
know,
we, get a street view of that?
Where are we?
Or Google
Fire
Maps,
Station 7.
maybe a street view.
Barnett Shoals Road.
Barnett.
Barnett Shoals Road, where the fire station is and behind the stop.
Absolutely, I have no idea.
You know
I've seen
where
it once upon a
UGA Vet is on
I do.
College Station?
I do.
It's their backyard.
Hank's old neighborhood.
It's on
They have a
Barnett
huge
Shoals,
yard.
right
Just-
up the corner.
Here we
When
go.
she pulls it up, you're gonna be like, oh, that's.
Yep, I have no doubt.
There was a Dropbox there.
So not school, it's
Right.
a fire station.
Right.
Yeah, just type Fire Station 7 into Google, it'll come up. Sorry, I know it's probably very annoying with 10 people going, just do this, just do that, just do this.
You're doing a great job.
It's, okay.
In an aerial view.
Yeah.
Put it on the blue line. Yep.
Well, you'll have it on Barnett Shores.
Oh,
No, it isn't.
Maybe just past.
You own Barnett Shoals, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
just turn around.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just around, yeah.
there we go. Beautiful.
Got it. Yep, I've been there. Okay, what's wrong with it?
Not using some mediocre.
So that parking lot,
Can we have an aerial view?
Ms. Teal.
I'm sorry, so we can see, see everything.
In that area, when election season. So they get stuck with someone in regards to parking.
Ooh, split screen. Bang.
Mm.
Y'all are fancy.
Updated me on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what she said.
so, I mean, the problem with that is space inside
Well, even if they
Right.
could get.
and parking.
Back there.
Okay.
that would free up.
So Mike,
That's
what I
she
would
said.
ask you to look at is Gates Elementary, Cedar Shoals, and Fire Station number 7 are so close and bunched up. And why can not be combined into 2 of them? Well, I mean, Fire Station number 7 is so close to Gates School and Cedar Shoals.
Okay,
Right.
so,
So if you were to combine those two, you'd be up to about almost 8,000.
Oh, really?
yes, yes.
Density, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the high school has the capacity for that, right? You know?
No,
No, ma'am, no, sir.
So,
Mm-mm.
okay, in that case, we can do that.
no.
No, hardly any building has the capacity for 8,000.
8,000,
Yeah,
Or one's old gains and the other one's new gains.
although we have hardly any.
Those two, there's Hillsman, Middle.
Can we give up on the first?
Yeah.
Hillsman is a new school and they may have a separate, the facility is within the facility, but they may have a separate room out there.
Well, there's a gym in between the Hillsman
So do
and
we-
the school
Are we still on the fire station?
Yes.
for us to be able
Kind
to
of,
use.
we've all kind of agreed that, well, I'm sorry, to catch you up, Hank had suggested, they're so close. Fire department, Gaines School, can we just consolidate? And Mr. Angela points out,
Can't do
get
that.
8,000 voters in one, like, look, too many, so then we're looking at.
But I'm not sure Hillsman would work because then you have 2 of them almost next to each other. And then people would complain about getting confused which polling station they need to go to.
The fire station, is the primary concern parking
Yes, no,
and then space, or is it parking and space?
And I can't stuff enough, you know, I would love to be a little bit more B and Bs.
I wonder, I mean, if we're, maybe the vet school has a spot.
Exactly, that's what I wrote down my notes. That's such a huge school, I'm sure they can.
Maybe even in the lobby of a building. I mean, we could lock it away in a room overnight, but
Mhm.
Yeah,
that would be a wonderful opportunity to begin
The
discussions
UGA.
with them.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Is that something we can look at? Do?
And then you get to like pet kittens after you vote or something, like how,
I mean, like, it might be beneficial to them if like someone wanted to run an adoption drive there on election day, you're gonna get a lot of eyeballs.
250 feet.
I wanna go back to Hillsman though, cause that's a new school and it should have a whole lot of space and some space that's not in use.
Isn't Hillsman next to Gaines School?
The thing about it is, those people in that area are pretty savvy, and and if they get confused, they sit right here, so you're in this parking lot, all you gotta do is walk over here.
That's true.
It's not like you're going
Yes.
across
So-
town.
Are you
Yes.
proposing moving Gaines School over to Hillsman? Or
No, move this fire station.
To Hillsman.
I think that's too close, too confusing.
It would be confusing, but yeah.
Y'all underestimate people's, intelligence.
Well, I mean, okay, so on election day in November, Pam called me. And there was the school resource officer out front. Someone had gone to go vote at Gaines School. And the resource officer said, oh, there's no voting here today.
Yeah,
And she didn't take the extra sentence to say
Yeah.
it's across the parking lot.
yeah.
So then this person calls the office and then it turns into the cops are saying, we can't vote here, and it's this whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I would worry about if we have
So how many incidents happen that day like that?
One.
one. but-
Okay, so, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, if 30 folk got confused, I'd be like, hey, let's move on down the road, But,
Yeah, because they don't have to repark. I like that. I mean, it's something to consider.
do is walk, cause, and the reason I know that, cause at one point, I've been confused with the Board of Education, the extra meeting that they were having. I'm in the wrong parking lot,
Well,
but I just walked on over.
I would say this, is we've had challenges with the school district. Why don't we try UGA? Maybe it's easier to work with than the school district.
Inquire about the UGA grant
Yeah.
school. And also, Lisa's statement to that, if we do Wilson Gym, we only can have access to the lobby. They won't give us the gym.
Oh,
And I don't know how much space.
They won't give us a Jimmy John's?
It's small.
that lobby in the
That lobby,
office right there. in
yeah,
the
the
front?
lobby area of the gym.
Now, did y'all talk to the school superintendent or the principal?
I'm not sure who she spoke with. I can find out.
Yeah, please do. If she talked to Dr. Hooker, I'm okay. But when it comes to administrative decisions like that, if they're not talking to the head person, then I got a problem with that.
Okay, we can find out.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Cause I've been quite highly involved in the school system here in Athens.
Mhm.
And some principals and some administrators in the schools think that they are God. But they are not. The board and Dr. Hooker get the last say so, whether they like us being there or not, or whatever the case, they do not have the last say so.
Okay, so let's look into Hillsman, double check, run it up the flagpole. UGA vet med,
Yeah,
run that up the
yeah,
flag.
yeah.
That's my vote as far as a thumbs up.
If we can get that, I'm happy.
Mhm.
And I have a friend who works there. I mean, I'm sure everyone has a friend
Exactly.
who works everywhere, but happy to talk to them unless you're just gonna call over there and be like, hey, whatever. I mean, I'm sure we can make it happen.
Yeah.
So suggestion.
And one more thing, like I said, I'm eager to try to work with UGA because maybe if it goes well, maybe there's another time to pull out of another school and another school and,
That had really been, for me, sitting on the board. The University of Georgia has not been the most, cordial in allowing us to do what we need to do. Because you think about, what's the, building over there where we're doing early voting for the students?
Ramsey, no.
Take center.
No,
Take,
no, the
Coliseum.
Coliseum.
Yeah.
It seems like to me it was kind of,
but with them being a state-owned building, I do not know if a similar section of the law would require them to allow use of the facility for elections if requested.
Yeah, I'm sure Yeah, that's a good
That's-
point. Like you
yes,
look at the
absolutely.
university, whatever mission statement to serve the public community or whatever. Yeah.
And they're really only willing to be, open up when we have like the bigger elections, you know,
Mhm.
so. that's
But if they were to be a polling place, we need them for every little thing.
Yeah,
right?
I
Every
don't know
time
if
an
they
election happens.
Yeah,
Be,
Yeah.
open to that.
Right.
But, okay. I think we have an agreement on looking into stuff for the future.
Was it the vet school? And what else did we talk about looking into?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am. Can we have that information on the 18th?
You know, one on the 11th?
Oh, the 11th, I'm sorry, we're gonna discuss it at our regular meeting. Yeah,
Well-
thank you.
At
Yeah.
least just get the info.
I'm good, that's even better.
Okay, so the final one we had on our list, well, it's 4:30. Do we need to take a bathroom break or do we want to just keep plowing ahead?
Well, let's finish this last one.
Plow, let's go. Pedal to the metal. Chase Street.
So yeah, you've got a small number of eligible voters here, I think 2,200.
Chase.
And I bet that's another high early voting precinct.
And
They have a good turnout.
They had the highest. They were the highest.
They have a
In
better
March, they
turnout.
actually,
They were tied with,
Right,
I'm sorry.
stay up.
they were tied with the
Oh.
Overthought maybe.
Sorry, they had the highest election day turnout as a share of their, overall
Yeah, Bonnet Show had 73%.
as far as
percentage.
you know,
People-
more. and then-
49%.
2020.
29% of 5C voted on election day in 2026.
So what's the issue with that station?
I think it's parking cars that are the concern.
Parking.
So here, another consideration for y'all is, again, if we're gonna implement the spirit of the ordinance, you've got,
it's like smack dab in the middle.
Well,
Is the purple the new or the old?
Purple's the new.
purple is the new.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
The old is,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you certainly have, yeah, it's almost, it's not really cut in half, but certainly will be a bit different.
what about,
would anybody prefer the red to stay? I'd like the red to go, the red lines. I get what they're there for, but is that okay with y'all? They-
I'm big for that.
Pocket or. Yeah, there you go. Eligible. So, that really wouldn't, it really wouldn't probably impact things very much either, because you can see the district boundary in this case kind of follows that population density as well. It's
Yep.
kind of, I don't want to call it a dead space between the voting location for the next precinct up, but
where,
kind of a dead space.
is that Bobby Snipes? Where's the water? Over to the left there?
Bobby Snipes is.
Oh, it's about farther.
Barber Street.
It'd be
Yeah.
across.
Yeah, where's the hospital?
Somewhere way over there.
Isn't it up there, Hawthorne and?
Because maybe that's a nonprofit, you know, that might be amenable to conversations.
Are you talking about Piedmont?
Mhm,
Piedmont has a parking problem, period.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get in there.
I got space though.
I mean, they've probably got something inside the building, but
Mhm.
That's Pound Street, correct? Oh, that's the two last.
King. So
No,
it's
but
still
it's not.
left of King, it's right where your mouse is. Yeah.
Yep, we're there.
But what about UGM Medical School? Is that under 5C? That should be considered?
Across the border.
That's right there. What is that,
Yeah.
oh, I see, yeah. What's that one on? Oh, what is that, the transit center area? That we're,
That's the Satula Ave government building. And so there's a parking area across the street from Satula. There's not a small amount of parking there. I don't know.
Petula, what building is that? What business are they carrying on?
Human resources.
HR is in there, yeah, and then a couple other.
Finance.
Finance and.
And
So is it up toward the building permit? I'm not building permit, but the business license? Are they in close proximity to each other? I'm trying to get my bearings here, guys.
This,
Yeah,
you
that's-
know where
that's
Sips
where-
Coffee is on Prince Avenue?
Aquafina?
Sips.
Uh-uh.
Uh,
See,
If
that's
you were,
one of
if you were riding out,
What street is it on?
It's Two Avenue. Boulevard. Is Monica
Boulevard.
watching?
if you rode out Boulevard and kept going,
Mm-hmm.
It's coming
So
from
Tula would
Lisa.
be, you would go past the,
Five C was not-
business where you pay for your, yearly business line, you would go past that building.
that's that building.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That is the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so they got other parking?
They've got other parking. Now, what they don't have is a sizable community room.
That, the building is,
Yeah,
yeah,
but training room
They have a train.
Yeah,
there's
but
two
the
train
building-
halls, But they're
Yeah.
both
It's smaller than this
Yeah.
room.
much smaller than this room.
and that building is small, it will not contain,
Pam just,
it will,
can you read the text from Lisa back?
5C, she's stating that they do not want to move. They have a solution for parking. She said the community there is very attached to their voting location.
That's what I was
You would
gonna
get
say.
pushed back if you
Are
tried.
you, which one of you is 5C?
that's true.
What are your thoughts?
Uh,
Do you agree with Lisa or different?
I would say, I mean, like, you know, I've only had 2 elections there, but, I don't think that the precinct with the highest election day turnout is necessarily one we want to try to move. You know, it seems like the numbers show that they're more attached to their precinct than any other location is.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not bothering them, it should not bother us.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think.
Like
what-
there are complaints about the parking, but
Well, there's that.
To the coworkers,
both.
both, okay.
may I ask a question?
She's saying, okay, go ahead.
What is the turnout for early, they don't do early over there, but on election day,
29%.
29%. So that means that those people have gone somewhere else to early vote, right?
No.
So.
29 means it's a high election day.
To
Election
clarify,
morning.
to clarify, if that's a low,
Okay, so what does that, in real numbers, what does that 29 represent?
533 people
Vote on election day?
in 5C voted in 2020 election day.
Bless
Bless you. Thank you. Now, that's the highest percentage of any precinct, but it's a low number because it's.
Yeah, because it's a small precinct.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, don't fix what's broken. That was never in my mind a problem, but
Not, you know, and the thing about it is, they're giving an outcry now to not move them.
Mhm.
So when we hear outcry, we got to go. Let's do it like that and not deal with that. Just leave it like it is. And when the voices get, more distinct in saying that we need to be somewhere else, then we should maybe look at
Yeah.
what's going on over there.
this is just our first work session. I think we made good progress. I think
Thank
we
you.
had very productive conversations. Is there anything else for today that any board member wants to look at or go over?
I'd just like to thank our guests for a great job that they did today for helping us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd also like to add, I saw somewhere buried in an email, you were hesitant to reach out to us. You can call me, you can reach out to me anytime you want.
I appreciate that.
I just won't answer if I don't want to talk to you.
I know.
You know?
So.
Could we take about, 10 or 15 minutes to discuss that Winterville train station? For that thing is just beyond my comprehension.
Okay,
With the 8 folks.
Do you want your break now?
I don't need a break, but
It's 4:40. Break would put us at dawn time, right?
It
because
was,
we're done.
maybe we take maybe 10, 15 minutes maybe,
Or-
because I don't think it'd be that much discussion on it.
I'm good with that.
That will be 1A.
And what's wrong with Winterville?
In fact, it's got 8 people that are, I don't know, somebody talked to me, but it came up before when we were redistricting. That it was a problem.
Is there like a little bubble or a weird district combo associated anywhere around
I don't
1A?
think we're allowed to mess too much with or, the powers that drew these lines, I guess. Maybe I messed with it though, so that's a good question.
But I'm just trying to figure out where the conversation maybe sparked from,
This is the district condos in the blue.
and there's nothing that's got anything like 8 people or anything, right? I mean, those are all decent size,
Yeah,
Got it.
420.
120. It's not that one, Pam, you
I
think?
think it is as well.
Okay, but I knew something came up about one of them, but I just maybe not remembering correctly. Gaines School,
I
maybe?
think it was
I
one,
do.
combo we had that did.
Before we go on from this, I have,
No, it was some kind of combo.
Yeah.
I have a question about Winterville while we're here before we, even though it wasn't the one that we were looking for, I guess. I haven't been to Winterville. It's been so long that I can't recall. Do we have enough covered area out, like covered waiting area at Winterville? Does that right there, like that gives me pause on the dog days of summer or a pouring down rainstorm? Like, and we run a smooth operation, right? We're proud of that.
Right.
But is it, while we're here, is it worth thinking about something else in 1A or somewhere in there to
I mean,
relocate?
because they do have a library there. I don't know how much space is
It's
there.
tiny.
There's,
It's small.
ACC
It's
library?
small.
yeah,
A cultural center or something, a community center?
And
No,
he's
no.
talking about the community center would be bigger.
What about their
Library
auditorium?
is tiny.
The mayor out there, he's a very voting friendly person.
So it's the train station every time.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's really, for me.
it's
It's-
tight, right?
It is. Well, so you've got the weird 2-layer thing, but
Mhm.
for accessibility, you need to have that ramp to get the wheelchairs up.
Right?
So that's the entrance that
The-
we would want to use. And there's a little piece of cover under there, but you like come under it and it's a dead end out to the side. So you can't like line up under the roof.
Mhm.
You just come to it and then there's some porch over here and then you come in. But yeah, so the line would be outside.
Cause I can remember, well, that's supposed to be my precinct, but that's another story. I remember voting there, and when we were first voting, we were voting at that first door. But the last time that I went, well, that would be the first door to the street, but the last time I went, we were voting on this side and coming in and going up a little ramp into where we used to come in at. But it was still small. It's really,
It's small.
So I'd be curious. I mean, clearly we're making it work. It's not broken, but I think maybe it could be improved.
Yeah.
I would think it might be, but if people have to stand out in the sun or in the
Yeah.
pouring rain, that'll make them think twice about voting. We all do, right? So I wonder, is that community center, the cultural center,
That's the community center.
do we have have we begun looking at that maybe to see if it's,
Haven't.
okay, what do y'all think? Is that worth investigating? Kind of like we're investigating Hillsman and vet school?
You're talking about that just for the building?
No, it's a community center that they recently, remodeled and has a kitchen and it's got
Yeah, that's what I'm
extra,
talking about.
extra
that's
rooms,
the side view.
everything. And like you said, if people can come in from there where they wouldn't have to stand out in the rain or
And next to the
anything, you know.
kitchen, that big room on the.
So like we come in.
That would be the voting.
Go around
And
that
they can
edge
get
on the
door.
right,
If it'll let you.
go down that little road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I don't think.
yeah, and then turn and look at
Then
it.
turn
See
and
that
look
ramp?
at it.
There we
See
go.
that right
So
there?
then you gotta walk up the little ramp thing and then go in those doors there. Because
Mhm.
otherwise you're asking people to walk up steps to
Mhm.
get to the voting booths, because they're all in that big area that's in the topper
Upper level,
there.
upper
Yeah.
level. Mm-hmm.
And so the accessible, the only way is through the ramps there.
Right,
Mm-hmm. Which at one time, the ramp wasn't even there.
they wasn't.
So then, do we feel like interested in the idea of hearing more about the possibility of the community center?
I would.
Just,
Sure.
I mean, the library, there's a few potential things right in that little
In that little,
cluster.
exactly, yeah.
I mean, there's the library,
The
That
community center is
auditorium.
right down the street. It's walking distance. So
there's a little library. I would assume that library has no space, but,
that library is small.
It's easy, isn't it?
oh, what about the elementary school? But I'd like to keep it in the little downtown area, you know?
It is still in downtown.
Yep.
So you're talking about that, the commercial kitchen that's inside the pavilion at Pittard, is that what you're talking about? Or-
No, I'm talking about their community center. They have a, community center right down, like where the church is.
Okay,
It's like right next to the church.
Is that the auditorium where they have like concerts and stuff? Cause I think that would be
You
an
got
option
out there's the
too,
auditorium.
and I think the city of Winterville owns that, don't they?
Probably.
no,
We have a recess.
privately owned, you're talking about,
The audit moment,
You know that,
it's like
community
a
center.
brick building, doesn't have, like, it's just a shell.
yeah, they've
brick building.
recently
Might be
like,
a school or something, or a.
no, it's like a concert venue.
With the
They
concept,
have
right,
productions.
but I think that's a private building, isn't
It
it?
probably is, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I thought they were talking about
does the city of
community center.
Winterville own buildings that we know? I mean, do you have the capability of,
Let me look, we don't
easy
necessarily,
way to look that up?
we don't necessarily keep up with.
Right.
What they do.
If we have it under maintenance, then I'll have something.
Right.
Oh, I see. There's no ACC in that little kind of downtown area, right?
Yeah, we don't have any. But.
That's a big old area out
Yeah.
there too. That's a huge area.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause they come all the way up to my street.
Yep.
Question. Can we move on from this?
The rules are suspended, shoot.
I don't mean to derail things, but so please, if y'all.
Derail.
You get
Talk about the train
from-
depot.
Let's stretch.
So I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are, because if the four of y'all are not keen to go down this road, I'll let it go, it's fine. But just the idea, like I alluded to earlier, so it seems like the current ordinance, the spirit of the county ordinance was once upon a time that the letter of it was, our precincts must line up with the county commission districts. That obviously had not been updated since 2010, back when there were 8 commissioners, right? So it needs to be updated anyway. So they might want it to remain the same spirit, in which case we're locked into that maybe. But they're gonna have to make a change anyway. If we had the agreement and the will to, they might be amenable to making the new ordinance reflect whatever we decide. Do y'all like the idea that I've been kind of suggesting about reconsidering all the precinct lines to more accurately center all these places we picked and split the district between those two places, so there's no one driving past a polling place to get to their polling place. There's nobody who lives closer to that one than their real polling place. Is there interest in that and going down that road? If not, I'll let it go. I just didn't know.
Facilities, available facilities.
Right, like today, we've built a map, we're building a map out of facilities that we like. What about, instead of having allegiance to those old lines, which really, there were reasons for those lines before, but those commission districts are gone, like they've been moved.
They've been
places.
moved.
So would y'all be curious to see what the map might look like that way or not?
I don't mind looking at it. I have no allegiance to any of the precinct lines.
And like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Voting precinct line, like,
Right. And I definitely, I want to be sure I didn't oversimplify things. It is important to me that we do consider the combos, minimizing where possible, but that is just not at the top of my priority list because, and I thought of it this way on the drive here, every little bit of sanity we can save our beleaguered staff is that much better service they can provide to our voters, right? And so if we could find a way to minimize the number of combos by ooching things one way or the other, great, everybody wins. But I would rather that be one of the lower things on the list than serving the voters as best as possible, covered space, that kind of thing. That's kind of.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily feel that once we pick out the polling sites, we should be drawing well, I guess we could draw the lines around it and see, and let the GIS come up with a population, because the population has to be approximately equal in.
for confusion's sake, why can't we? So looking at District 9 up there, that one smack dab in the middle, why can't that just be 9A? Looking over here, 6, A, B, C, I guess. You see what I mean? Like, just renumber them so simply, and then they're less confusing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, and then they match the district they're in?
I'll immediately push back on that because, for example, if I'm hearing what you're saying, we'll go to 5, if you wouldn't mind, Ms. Mayor, scrolling up toward 5. If I heard you right, we'd be saying, look at 5, they'd be 5A, B, and C. Great. Now look up in 6, 6A, whatever's there next to Camelot. You're gonna have the voter in District 5 who has to drive all the way down to vote in one of those 3 spots when they can go right across the street and vote over there. Right? Like if we were to stick with these artificial commission district lines, it does a disservice to those voters.
It does, but it keeps things uniform and less confusing.
Confusing to whom? And why does that matter?
Well, it doesn't, I don't think, I don't know.
You're saying we're now attaching an artificial number where if we changed it to the district, people would know that's their district where they vote.
Right. Yeah, right. So like when you look at the commission, and you're like, okay, the 5th seat, 5, okay, there's more connection, maybe.
It would match their commissioner's number.
Which is what it was before.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's really what the whole.
And I wanna
dealing with is from 20.
Correct one comment I made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct one comment I made earlier when I said the precinct lines don't really matter. I think they do actually matter to candidates. That's the one situation in which they wouldn't matter, but.
It doesn't matter to the people that's voting. That's
Right,
who we
but the-
serve. We don't serve the candidates. We need to
Right.
consider the people that are voting, what is most convenient for every voter in Athens-Clarke County to be able to have, equality in that when we draw it up. You know, that.
Best we can.
How about this?
Yeah, we're not gonna be perfect, and like you're
Best-
saying,
best
we're
we
not
can.
gonna be perfect, but as best we
Adam,
can.
Are you able to kind of come to the next work session with what you're thinking about? Because maybe part of the reason I'm not like fully on board is maybe I don't admittedly understand what you're saying
Gotcha. Okay.
fully.
Sure.
Like, could we have the 2 scenarios? Is that something?
What I would propose our office could offer you, and I don't know if this is good or not. We stick with 24 precincts. We go with the polling locations that you've identified where, you know, where feasible, what we know that are gonna be a home run. And then we adjust the existing precinct boundaries according to the district boundaries and then renumber them accordingly so that you have a minimally adjusted precinct boundary to where it fits within the district. And it's called 6A, for instance. So like we looked at with Chase Street, you know, there's a lot of freeboard on, let's look at that for an example, if you don't mind, Mary. So if you could turn on the precinct boundary. So here you've got an existing precinct boundary that doesn't make sense. If we move 5D's boundary down to match the new boundary, you're not gonna lose anything, really. You're not gonna disenfranchise any voters, I don't think. Very few, relatively speaking. And then you have a precinct boundary that is coincident with your district boundary. Now, what number that'll be, I don't know.
So we would have 10 precincts.
You would have, well, you do it, so you have
Oh,
20,
precinct number.
24 precincts. So
Polling places.
Oh, right.
Polling
yes,
place.
24 polling places, and then also 24 precincts to, well, not 24 precincts, because we've
Yeah.
combined
Yes.
some precincts, but whatever number we're down to, given the number of polling places we have, that's how many
I think
precincts we'll show you.
22, maybe possibly
Maybe
20
so, yes.
with,
I think so.
Well, I'd like to look at that. I'm not married to the fact that some voters have to drive a little bit further up. I really don't think that matters. I could be wrong. I'm not gonna argue on that. But I think it's important to have that, what you're trying to do, have the districts coincide with precincts. I think that makes sense. And everyone doesn't have to have 4 polling stations. You can have 2, 3, 1,
Right.
whatever makes sense. Work around the stations we have. But the moment you bring in another factor, okay, who's going how far, then you're gonna destroy that thought because it'll never be perfectly even. Forget perfect, it won't even be closely even.
Right.
Some people will have to travel. That's the reality of life. I mean, you just cannot get every single person to just go less than 1 mile to vote.
True.
Yeah, I'm a traveler, so I can speak on that. I don't go to Winterville Station, that's my assigned place. I'm really closer to Howard Beach Drive, but I go vote early. Problem solved,
Exactly, yes, I agree.
you
So,
know.
To answer your question though, yes, and you asked me about like kind of helping show you and the rest of us, what I'm thinking about. I'll try to get it to us by our meeting next Tuesday, at least to help us visualize what I'm talking about. That way, if we're like, oh, yes, or oh, no, then we can tell D'Angelo whether we want to pursue that or never mind, right? If you're like, no, never mind.
and
But yes,
I'm all for the suggestion you just made.
yeah, same here, at least as a minimally adjusted map, as an option.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Are we satisfied with the conversation? We have to close the meeting and stuff.
I think you're paying off very well.
In
So
the
we're
end,
ready to close?
No,
Not
we
yet?
gotta vote and adjourn and all
Okay.
that.
but in the end, we are going to close one or two.
Combined.
We're not closing anything.
We're not closing.
Hang on,
Yeah.
nothing got done today, nothing officially.
We
Well,
haven't got
All
that
we
right
officially
now.
did was call to order and approve an agenda, that's all we did.
and I would stay away from using the word closing.
Close,
because
combine, how about combine?
We're combining.
Combined.
Use any.
With,
Consolidating.
with great explanations to the public.
Perhaps we
I don't
could,
want the tar and the fellas
For
to
your
come out.
convenience.
perhaps we could institute a government study for 6 months on the right word to use.
And-
Study.
Okay, anyway, the chair will entertain a motion to
Adjourn.
Go
No.
back to session.
go back into, we have to go back into the rules before we can adjourn. Okay, but I don't know what the right word to say.
Go back into the rules.
Okay, let's just do that. You want to make that motion?
Let's resume our meeting.
Okay,
I so move that we resume the meeting
okay,
so that we can have a proper adjournment.
sure. You want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor of rejoining the meeting,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda are announcements. The board will meet at their regular called meeting, which will be April 11th, 4:30 PM. We'll be at 120 West Doherty Street. And then we will have another work session on April 18th at 3 PM at this location, which is 2555 Lexington Road. And, if that's all, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
What time did you say is the meeting on April 11th?
4:30,
Okay.
that's our normal regular time.
Okay, I thought you said something else, but that's.
Okay,
Adjourned.
okay, second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody.